Weeklies after the talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and a beautiful
Lady Esther.
and we are here today with another dynamic interview, which I'm super excited about because we're going to talk a little bit about some civics. We're going to talk about the importance of community. We're going to do the work that we have always been doing for the community that sometimes you don't have the opportunity to hear the voices and understand how people really are, humanizing people instead of seeing all of the noise that's out there. And so what we like to do is just bring them here so you get an opportunity to hear who they are. And without further ado, Sizzle, who do we have today?
So we have the awesome Honorable Judge Patrick Dugan. He is a former president judge of Philadelphia Municipal Court, a decorated Army veteran, and a lifelong public servant. Raised in Frankford by a devoted single mother, he went on to earn his Juris Doctor from Rutgers Camden before serving over 23 years in the Army and Army Reserve, where he earned the Bronze Star and more than 24 awards.
Jeez.
Appointed to the bench in 2007, Judge Dugan served 17 years creating nationally recognized diversion programs, including Philadelphia's renowned Veterans Court, which effectively reduced recidivism to under 10%. As president judge, he led the court through the pandemic, authorizing the groundbreaking Eviction Diversion Program, which saved more than 46,000 families from displacement.
Wow.
In 2024, he stepped down to run for district attorney. Now he's here with us to discuss his life journey and campaign. So let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to the Honorable Judge Patrick Dugan.
How are you? How are you, my friend? How are you?
Well, thank you for that introduction and the applause.
Oh,
Thanks
man.
for having me.
Absolutely. One, I'd like to welcome you to the show. And, one thing we like to talk about or like to discuss is, just some of the things that's happening in the communities, right? Things that are affecting the community, try to disrupt those news deserts, so to speak, the information that people are not getting and sometimes tend to just, turn on social media and this is what it is and they believe it. And so we like to say, this is the person, this is who this person really is. This is who you potentially will be voting for. This is the person who will be in a leadership position that you may need to talk to or come in front of one day. So I'd like to welcome you here for being a part of We Talk Weekly. So before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about who are you when you think of you as honorable judge, right? Before the judge, right? Who are you?
Well, my mother said my first name is not Judge. So my first name is Pat. When I was a kid, I was called Patty Dugan, born in Fairmount. We moved to Frankfurt when I was about 10 years old. My mom thought she was moving on up. She was a single mother. We moved to 1600 block of Margaret, right near the Margaret Orthodox L stop. So I'm a kid that played on the L. I'm a kid that played wire ball, stick ball, halfies, played basketball at the playgrounds, was right there at Whitehall Projects. So I'm a city kid. I've lived here my whole life. The only time I didn't live here in Philadelphia was when I was serving our nation, which were I had 5 years overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, Panama, South Korea. So I'm Philly born and bred. I mean, my campaign literature since I've been running the very first time always says that Dallas sucks. I'm sorry to those Cowboy fans, but I'm a diehard.
I gotta give you a round of applause for that. I gotta give you a round of applause.
Yeah, go Birds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's who I am, sports fan, but I just love our neighborhoods and I want to do the best thing that I can. My mom, God rest her soul, is my hero. When we talk about who's our heroes, Mike Schmidt, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson. Well, I love those guys. But my mother was my hero. So when I was a kid in Fairmount, late 60s, there's tensions in our street. Yeah. We had the demonstrations up at Girard College. We had riots on Broad Street,
That's right.
all that stuff going on. So we're in Fairmount. I'm on sitting on the steps at 2211 Parish Street, which is where my grandmother lived. And it was one of those times where mom needed to be at her mother's house. So that's where we were. And there's a kid riding a bike, a young black kid riding his bike as fast as he could in front of our home down the street. And he's being chased by the old heads in the neighborhood. And they catch him. And we had those riot boards that were outside, those things that the police put up when there's a parade and all, those big old yellow wooden ones.
Yeah.
And they picked up one of those boards and they started beating them. I'm sitting on the steps with my mom. My mom jumped up, ran down, got in between that board and those old heads and protected that little kid. Brought that kid to our steps, pushed those old heads away, brought him over with his bike and waited till the police arrived. So my mother didn't have to tell me what to do. She showed me what to do. And that's what I've been as a man, as a paratrooper, as a judge. And pretty much it's the reason why I'm running for DA, getting off the damn step to do this.
You know, I want to, wow.
that.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
love
I'm gonna send the pause real quick and shout out to mom right there, you know, because,
Oh, my mom, Jackie, was awesome.
no doubt. Shout out to mom, you know,
Faithfully moms.
yeah.
Yes.
Faithfully moms.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that as an understanding, right, and still pulling back the layers of yourself, who Patrick Dugan is, what influenced you that from the beginning to say, you know what, this justice, this criminal justice space, or this law-based space is something that I believe I want to be a part of? What influenced that?
So it's being a city kid. It's having been in the Army, seeing that, you know, Pat Dugan from the neighborhood in Philadelphia. I'm the same as that kid who was living in rural Alabama, or the guy who was riding horses in Texas, or the kid from Oakland, because we lived together no matter what our race, what our religion was, what kind of economic background. We're all the same.
Yeah.
We all want the same thing. We just want to be safe. We want to be with our families. We want to be able to provide for them. We want to be able to laugh and dance. And I saw that particularly in the Army. And I brought that back with me as a man, that we're all the same. We all want the same thing. So we got to cut through our differences.
Yeah.
And as a judge, that's why I love the diversion programs
Right.
that I was heavily involved in, because we were able to peel the onion away.
Yeah. What's
What's making this guy go in and steal stuff from a store? What's making this guy being violent with his family members? Why is this person driving his vehicle under the influence? So you get into the root causes, and then we try to help fix those root causes, help that individual figure it out as well, provide them with the tools. And that's what I love to do. We did these wraparound services, and we helped so many people. We involved their families, and we turned around and saved so many lives. And as a judge, having that power up there, it just felt so good to be able to help people that I just, again, it was such a passion of mine. But I was also one of those guys, when somebody came in and they were being violent, that we had to make sure they were being held accountable. We're going to go around shooting people, carjacking, then yes, you have to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But people who we could help, and people who deserve that second chance, people who we could seriously help, let's do it. So one of the things I did, I went into Graterford Prison. I would take my people in front of me in my courtroom in Veterans Court. We'd get in a van and go to Graterford. It's called SCI Phoenix now. And we'd go behind bars and talk to the lifers. Those men, Comer glasses up there. He's an 80-year-old man. He's blind. He's in there for murder. But what a great mentor he is to other people in the criminal justice system, because he's trying to teach them, don't be my cellmate. And he took peer mentoring classes. He's got a bunch of guys in jail, and he would speak to the guys in front of me so that they would not be his cellmates. And that's the kind of things that I love to do, to help people turn their life around. So we're not destroying them, plus all their family members, because you put one man in jail, there's 10, 15 other people affected by that person being in jail. So we got to stop that. But we got to put those people who are running around shooting our kids as well. We got to put them in jail.
I agree with that, and that's fair. I want to talk about this because this stood out for me. It say in 2019, Judge Dugan was elected president judge by his peers. During this time, he guided the court through the challenges of the 2020 pandemic, authorized the Eviction Diversion Program. You talked a lot about diversion, but this program helped over 46,000 families remain in their homes and secure nearly $300 million in rent. We have to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's something I'm super proud of.
Yeah.
And I had a great team in Philadelphia Municipal Court. My fellow judge, who was my supervising judge, I was the president judge, and he more or less worked for me. But him and I, with our staff, as well as the landlord tenant lawyers, all the folks out there who were trying to assist people as they were, people were looking to evict them, city council, we got together and came up with the Eviction Diversion Program. So yes, 46,000 families in the city of Philadelphia were not evicted during COVID. And the part that I insisted on, a lot of people who weren't getting paid the rent are people with one house, one investment house. So if they're not getting the mortgage, if they're not getting the rent to pay their mortgage, they're going to lose that house. They're going to lose that investment. So I said, we got to have a program where they're getting paid. So $300 million, over $300 million went to the landlords. So we pleased both sides. I mean, it was COVID. People couldn't pay the rent, but we can't go ahead and stiff the landlords. So we got together and did it for both. And that program is still going on. Evictions now in the city of Philadelphia. There's a great process that people go through, that people try to step up and help both sides. And I'm super proud of that. I'm super proud of Judge Matt Wolf, who's up on the Commonwealth Court now, and all the staff members who assisted in that. I'm very proud of that.
Now, you talk about the diversion programs and the things that you've been involved with, which I think is an excellent transition to talk about, to start talking about some of the things you're doing now. But one of the things that we pride ourselves in is the discussion about civics and how important that is to the community. When someone asks you what civics is to you, or what does it mean to you, right? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? And let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
First thing that comes to my mind is being involved in your own community, right there where you live. And I'm talking about the simplest thing as, so there's trash on the street near your home, trash on the street near your school. You know what? Pick it up. You didn't put it there, but we all can bend down and pick up that trash and put it in the can. We can also all come out and vote. Elections have consequences. We see that every day. 16.61% of the people in the city of Philadelphia that are eligible to vote voted in the springtime. To me, that math is 83.39%. 83.39% of the eligible voters stayed home in the springtime. Your civic duty is to vote. Not every human being that's walked this earth has had the ability to vote.
That's right.
It's a privilege. We need to take advantage of it. We all have opinions. We all complain. We all say this, that.
We all got them.
Folks, get out and vote. Get out and vote. I think that's super important. But get involved, mingle, talk to your neighbors, cross the street and talk to that guy who you don't politically go along with. Just go talk to him, because his views, there might be way different than yours, but we agree on about 80% of the stuff out there. So talk to your neighbors. I think that's important.
Yeah. And what do we say to because sometimes we hear from the community, we hear people that say well, my vote doesn't count. So why am I even going out to even vote? Because they're going to elect who they want to elect anyway.
No, they're not. That apathy has to stop. If you look at the numbers, you come out to vote, and each one of us have 10, 12 people in our sphere that we could pull out to vote. I know that I could call up my kids, and I'm proud. I got 6 grown kids. They all have spouses, significant others. Wait, you're going to give me a standing ovation for this. I got 13 grandkids.
Wow.
And my family, I'll be honest with you. When we take a photo, it looks like the United Nations. So we're just our Thanksgivings are great. But I know I could call them all up and say, listen, tomorrow you need to go vote, and they will. We all have those folks in our life. Your coworker, drag them out to vote. We have to get involved, because if 16% of us continue to vote, I think that's one of the problems that we have in politics. This two-party system, we get extremes on both sides. And again, the vast majority of those who are kind of closer to the middle, we stay home, we shrug, and we wind up with extremities in politics, and the two sides will not compromise anymore. Yeah. And that's just a shame that that's happening in our society. So I'm urging people, get involved. Let's take it back, all of us. And it can be this side, that side, but we all need to come together, unify. My political party right now, I'm a Philadelphian. That's truly who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you ran in the primaries, and you didn't win in the primary.
I got spanked.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people didn't come out to vote.
Correct.
And that was, the issue that we were just discussing. So what, I guess, is there a plan that you've already been working on to do differently from a campaign plan, going out and maybe knocking on more doors, or has anything changed?
You've been talking to somebody, because knocking on doors is our number one thing that we're doing. We're doing more digital, more social media, and canvassing. We're going to be banging on doors. We got a little army starting out there. We're going to go hit every door that we possibly can. Yeah. In the general election, there are now 250,000 more people eligible to vote than were in the primary, because in Pennsylvania, it's a closed primary. Yeah. So all the independents were not able to vote.
That's right.
So with 250,000 more people eligible to vote, there's a whole new pot of voters that are out there. So I'm certainly going to try to appeal to them and urge those who stayed home to come out. Again, we all have an opinion on what's going on in the direction of the city, and come on out and let your voice be heard. If it's not with me, I'm not even going to tell you to stay home. Yeah, I want people to vote. I really do. And I saw it firsthand. I was in Iraq and in 2004, and I was part of the program there to help local Iraqis vote. They walked through bombs. They stood in line where death threats were there to vote, be the first group of people who could vote in their country. And what they do is they'd come in after they voted, they'd put their finger in a purple ink well and come out. So they'd come out showing their purple ink on their finger. And people died to vote. And it was just an amazing process. It was over 80% of the people came out to vote there for the first time. And it just felt so good to be part of giving that voice. And when I was quoted in the paper by Jill Porter, one of the Philadelphia Daily News reporters years ago, saying, I want to come home to Philly. I want to have a cheesesteak, watch the Eagles, and get people out to vote. And it truly is something I want to do. And it's out there. I said it, and it's in the paper, so it must be true.
All right. I want to, because you brought that up, I might get you in trouble with this question, but cheesesteak. Who has the best cheesesteak in Philly?
I got to tell you, there was a place that shut down years ago. It was Beato's at 25th and Paris. That's really old school, but that's been shut down for years. I like Jim's at 4th and South.
Okay, yeah.
I like Jim's at 4th and South.
Yeah, that's safe. Okay.
But there's 10 other places that if I'm driving by, I'm stopping. Yeah. Whether it's the one on Snyder, John's, whether it's Max's, whether it's Delisandro's.
Yeah. Okay, you're in the right
I'm telling you. I was at Larry's out at St. Joe's College the other day at Belly Busters. Man, that put another inch on my waist.
Yeah.
Whiz without for me. It's a mess, but that's what I eat.
Right. I love that.
No doubt. That's funny. Well, at the very least, you share like interests with somebody. But go ahead.
Yeah. And we've had, several candidates that have come on the show, and they've run, in different capacities.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they often talk about is when it comes to voting down ballot. So you're running as an independent. What does voting down ballot look like for maybe somebody that might be a Democrat, but they want to vote for you? And like, how does that look like if I guess you're running as a Republican candidate, but it's the other, and I don't know how that works.
So the Republicans did a write-in campaign in the springtime for me.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to win the primary. And I became the Republican nominee. There were more than 7,000 write-in votes that were cast for me. And it was successful in Pittsburgh, the last cycle. The same thing happened in the district attorney's office. The losing candidate in the Democratic primary, they wrote him in on the Republican side, and he won in the general. So that's where somebody came up with this idea, and they did it. It wasn't something I sat down and talked with anybody. It was something I'm not going to do, But then after the primary, I had so many people come up to me. I'm trying to sit down in North Wildwood on the beach with my grandkids, or I'm in a grocery store or a Target here in Philly, and people kept coming up to me. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I'm calling it a unity campaign. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're part of the Forward Party, the Working Families Party, a Libertarian, I don't care what party you are.
Right.
My main purpose is to be the district attorney for all people. I am not, when I win this thing, I'm not going to be the district attorney for Republicans. I'm not going to be the district attorney for Democrats. I'm not going to be the district attorney for Working Families Party. I'm going to be the district attorney for Philadelphia, all Philadelphians. There's nothing about the political party when it comes to what are we going to do with these allegations of a crime. It's all about the justice on the streets. That's really what it is. So I'm truly running as a Philadelphian. It's got nothing to do with a party.
So what you're saying is how that looks is for the voter when they go to vote, if they're voting for you and they do, like, say they vote Republican for DA.
If they're Democrat.
Right,
voting,
if they're Democrat. But they vote for you as the Republican candidate for DA, but everything else is Democrat. You'll still be working with, if those Democrats are elected in the other positions, you'll still be working with everybody else, is what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
I mean, so as a judge, I worked with Republicans that in terms of fellow judges and anybody else in the system. Of course I did, and talked to elected officials trying to talk about, the directions of the law and all that. So absolutely, party it's blind to me. And it's fine for people to come in and vote for the Republican nominee because it's truly only a name only. That's what it is. I'm still Pat Dugan. So I'm truly running for all Philadelphians.
Fair enough. One of the things that sometimes I get fussed at, but I say one of my favorite Republicans was David O.
A good friend of mine, fellow paratrooper. Yes.
He's such a non-traditional Republican, and he used to do or be in spaces that most Republicans wouldn't be in. And I actually seen him do a lot of work, right? And I always said that although I'm a registered Democrat, that I'm for the people who are doing the work for the people, right? And so to that point though, right? Because you are giving me that vibe, right? The non-traditional Republican at that point, because that's what you're running for. So for someone, I want you to just walk people through that process for a staunch Democrat, right? That understood that you used to be a Democrat, right? technically, right, or formerly a Democrat. Now you're running as a Republican. So for a staunch Democrat that will be looking at this interview, how do you explain that you switch parties into now vote for you when you're no longer who they identify with, so to speak, the party who they identify? How do you explain that to someone?
Right. So people, think I switched jerseys.
Did you
Yeah.
wait? Did you
Nope.
switch? Are you're
Nope.
still
I am still a registered
okay, 'cause
Democrat.
Fantastic.
yeah,
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
didn't
They-
remember you saying
and
that.
I am a registered Democrat who won the Republican nomination. It
Mm.
wasn't something I sought. They presented it to me. So the alternative was that I turned down the being on the general election ballot, and then the current district attorney would be unopposed. And the Republican Party could have put somebody else on it.
Mhm.
There was no plan to do that.
Interesting.
So I just
Mm.
felt that democracy, in the birthplace of America,
Mm.
there should be somebody else running in the general election for such an office as the district attorney's office. So that's why I'm doing it. And again, I know what people, I hear people, I know how the politics are,
Yeah.
left, right, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
fanatical
Because,
people on
it's
different
just-
sides.
Everything's so divided now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
you're
I-
a
I'm-
Democrat who the Republican wrote in.
Yes, exactly. I'm still Pat Dugan
Yeah.
from Fairmount and Frankford, still the
Right.
paratrooper, still the guy who did diversion courts. I just
Fantastic.
want to make sure that those diversion programs continue. They haven't really continued much in the last 8 years. And I also want to hold those people running around shooting our kids on the playgrounds.
Mhm.
I want to hold them accountable the first time.
Right, right. So for those who might have fear, right, since you were written in by Republicans, for those who may have fear that you may share like views, right? What do you say to those people that are extremely nervous, especially as it relates to a certain party that has galvanized certain people to feel a certain way? Because for me, we try to ask questions that some may ask, right? We don't judge, right? Because again, for me, is if you're working with the community and you're doing right by the community, that's who we want out there protecting the community, right? But then you have the lifers, so to speak, of a party who's affiliated to a party that no matter what it is, who it is, if you're Democrat, I'm voting Democrat. If you're Republican, I'm voting Republican, right? You're in this hybrid kind of position. So I guess it's trying to understand or trying to get people to understand that your views are your views, right? Will they have to worry about certain parties that potentially have wrote you in that you might share those same exact views, if that makes sense? Yeah. Not that is wrong,
No,
right? But just that.
Right,
Yeah.
I understand. So I'm getting it from both sides.
Yeah, I'm sure,
People
yeah,
on the left, on the right, Democrats, Republicans are saying, "I'm not going to vote for you because you're the Republican nominee." I'm not, and I get Republicans saying, "I'm not going to vote for you because you're still a registered Democrat."
Mm.
And I'm just asking people to open up their minds. Again, I'm Pat Dugan. I am the guy who did the Eviction Diversion Program.
Mhm.
I'm the guy who's a paratrooper. I'm the guy who gets off the step like his mom did. I'm the guy who did the eviction diversion. I'm the guy who did Veterans Court. I'm the guy who did COVID court. I went into the jails to take care of the people who were stuck in jail with just a mask to make sure we had their hearing so they weren't sitting in jail lingering
Yeah.
while we were trying to wait for COVID to go away. I wanted to have them to have their cases so they're either released or the case moves forward.
Yeah.
But I'm also that guy that says, I sat in a murder room for, I was on 17 years. I sat in there probably 50% of the time. And I saw murders all the time.
Yeah.
And I just see young people all the time getting killed in our city. And I want to try to help get in there so that we don't have so many murders. But unfortunately, we still have to hold those people accountable who are doing it. And I believe I can help all that. I'm the man I am.
Mhm.
And I don't have a label, but I know who I am. And that's what I'm asking people to just, put your differences down and really take a look at what's best for our city. Who can be a good partner for Commissioner Bethel? and Mayor Parker,
Yeah.
who could be that third person to really work together to help our city be safer, so kids can go to the playground, so you can walk to the corner store without being afraid.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to really open up your eyes, open up your minds, please, folks.
So since you've mentioned those entities, let's say you've been elected. It's day one. What does this look like? Your first 100 days, because you mentioned,
Sure.
Mayor Parker, and you
Mhm.
mentioned the police commissioner. How will you work with them? How will you work with the community as far as the diversion programs and those community programs, the outreach, working with victims? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you sound like you are this great person, right? But
You sound like you're a great.
sound like you're a great person, right? But I mean, I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
I had someone say to me once, "It's not who you know, it's who knows you."
Mm.
So if people don't know you, how do they know to vote for you? Like, how do we get everyone to know who you are, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the biggest thing. Like, you're written in, and usually, like Charles was saying, people will go with Democrat just because they're Democrat, Republican just because they're Republican, and a lot of times people just go with the names that they know.
That's right. That's right.
So
Right.
how do we get everybody to know your name?
Well, you're on We Talk Weekly, so I need to.
There you go.
I mean,
No,
that's a
but-
start.
So one of the
for
things
our audience,
Yeah, for our
just so
audience,
with their head,
So-
they have a clear picture.
Yeah.
Of it.
So having been a judge for 17 years, and pretty much the vast majority of those days, there were at least 100 people in my courtroom every day. So I know a lot of people. Every time I go out to a civic meeting, somebody stands up and says, I was a defendant in front of you, Judge, or my kid was in front of you. And you know what? We didn't get maybe what we wanted that day, but you were fair. And I had so many people tell me that every time I go out to a meeting. But so Commissioner Bethel and Mayor Parker, they'll have a person who's going to be that third partner with them. I love what the commissioner, coming from the school police, the programs he tried to do with the schools. He's trying to bring that into the police. He wants to train his police officers to handle crisis a lot better, to give them some training in how to deal with people in the throes of addiction, a mental health crisis. That's part of the stuff that I want to be involved with as well. Mayor Parker came on board saying, listen, we got to really start getting a handle on this crime. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job. And I think they need that third partner. And I think that's me, who's willing to work with them. Mayor Parker started the director of public safety, this office, and Adam Gear is in charge of it. And right now, the current district attorney is not working with that office. He said it out loud at a forum. I will work with them because there's a lot of things we could do to work together. On day one, what I will do is I will start hiring local attorneys from Penn, Temple, Widener, Drexel, Rutgers, Camden, bring the local law students back, Villanova, because the current district attorney was hiring all these people from Stanford and Harvard, and that's great. Let's bring the best and brightest minds. The problem is when they came here, they studied the law of California. So they came here, they didn't pass the bar right away, and 68 out of 78 in one class did not stay. So they're coming, there's high turnover. They don't know that Broad Street is not called 14th Street. They don't know that Front Street is not called First Street. And I had to correct some of them in court. Now, outsiders come on in, but I want people from here because they're going to stay here. So I'm going to hire locally. But one of the other big things I'm going to do is because 8 years ago on day one, we had prosecutors who were geographically located. So you had a senior assistant district attorney in the Northwest, one in the Southwest, one in Central, one in East, one in Northeast, et cetera. And they were assigned up there to communicate with the community, with the PDACs, with the wards, with the civic associations, with the churches. So if there was a shooting in a corner store, that DA would communicate with the locals to let them know what's the status of that case. So you as a community member or a block captain could call up this specific DA and say, hey, Mary, what's going on with the shooting that happened at 52nd and Delancey? And the communication was direct. They were all pulled back into the office. So no longer did we have the geographically assigned assistant district attorneys. And I think That's part of the problem with the communication that's currently going on with the DA, where victims are not being called. Neighbors are not being told that that shooting at the playground is this coming Tuesday. And geez, how good would it look if the community came in so the judge, the jury could see, wow, this community's concerned about what happened in their neighborhood. That's a very important factor in court hearings. So just simple things like that can go a long way. And I will also bring back, I call it boot camp, training for the DAs. There was a lot of allegations, and I saw it firsthand in court over the last 7 years, of a completely different style of training in a DA's office. There were a couple seminars about touchy-feely things, but nothing to do about the nuts and bolts in court. Nothing to do about how to communicate with the police officers and make sure they show up. Nothing to do about how do you call Mrs. Jones, whose son was murdered, and now we want her to come to court so she can, represent her son. That stuff ceased. And all that stuff is just common sense. I want to bring back the boot camp to teach the new DAs how to put on direct examination, how to cross-examine a witness, how to put in evidence, how to communicate, how to address the court. Instead of telling them, and this is what they told me, the attorneys told me that they were recruited to come to Philadelphia and be a public defender with a budget. Well, I want you to come and be a prosecutor who can walk and chew gum. When you see somebody that we need to put in a diversion program, you need to recommend that and let's do it. But when you see a person who's a danger to our community, we've had 3,200 murders in the city of Philadelphia in the last 8 years. Over 10,000 people have been wounded. Now, I did say I went to Afghanistan, right? That was a 20-year war. We had 2,459 military personnel killed in Afghanistan in 20 years. 2,439. In less than 8 years, we've had over 3,200 people murdered in the city of Philadelphia. That is just something we should not tolerate. Philadelphia is like a war zone. And I'm glad the numbers have started to go down. They need to keep going down. But, we're talking about the whole picture here, folks. We need to stop the insanity going out. And frankly, the vast majority of the victims out there are young people of color. And, when Strawberry Mansion and North Central and Tioga, when those neighborhoods are 400% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in the United States of America, or 300% or 280, or Frankfurt's 206% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in the United States of America. I don't care what the numbers are coming down. That is not acceptable, that our neighborhoods are 300 or 400% more dangerous than the average neighborhood in America. And that's something I want our DAs to focus on that. But I also want to help people that need help.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Not to change the subject, but this is how much of you wanting to help and change things. After 9/11, you are a honorable decorated veteran.
Yeah.
But after 9/11, you re-enlisted into the Army. I want to know what, of course, we all probably felt like we wanted to do something, right? But you actually did. What was your driving force, and what was your goal? Like, what did you feel like you could do, or what areas did you want to help in, or feel like single-handedly you could do something? And then I just want to know, just the mindset of, sure, I want to do something, because this is how much this man wants to do something.
Yeah.
So my mother was my driving force.
Shout out to mom. Give mom another round of applause.
Getting off the step. Yeah. And obviously when we saw the towers go down, what a moment for all of us that were, alive, and we witnessed that live on TV, or if you were closer to it and you saw the dust and you were in New York, how that really impacted us all. So at the time, I'm a lawyer. I haven't been in the Army in 14 years, and I'm probably weighing over 250 pounds. Well, the Army ain't taking you in as a 250 pounder. So,
and you were 43.
I was 43 years old. And so I went to a recruiter and they laughed at me because I was prior service, and they said, no, we can't get you in. And they said, first thing you had to do is go ahead and lose some weight. So that was one of the things that I started to do. I wanted to be part of it because in the 80s, I was this grunt. I was an 11 Bravo, which is in the infantry. I was a paratrooper in a recon platoon. I was on the DMZ in South Korea. I was stationed in Panama for 2 years. I was in the 82nd Airborne. So I was one of those bad guys, right? I was a paratrooper. Well, now I'm a lawyer, fat, out of shape. So I knew I could help, though, because all those young people that were being called upon, I knew my experience could help them. I was able to lose some weight, talk the doctors into letting this 43-year-old man get in. And I went to a civil affairs unit where they bring lawyers, doctors, teachers, engineers. And the deal is you're going to go win hearts and minds. So I wanted to go over to Iraq to be that person in uniform who's dealing with the government, who's dealing with the schools, who's dealing with the hospitals. And that's what I did. So we were digging wells. We were trying to help give more materials for education. I let send me toys, soccer balls, prenatal vitamins, pencils. I sent that home, and I got inundated with thousands of packages that I was giving out to local Iraqis.
Wow.
I started a women's empowerment zone. Women's empowerment group where we helped women start their own businesses at home in Iraq, which is unheard of. Wow. I was able to do that. And I was able to do this with some great young people, 18, 19, 20, 23, 25. And I was that sage old man, I was that pop. And, it was good to be their big brother and help guide them through some very rewarding times, some horrific times, because it was still a war going on over there. But I'm very proud of my service. And yes, I'd do it all over again.
Mom took that's a way to jump off the step.
Yes. and now off the bench.
And now off the bench into the streets of Philadelphia.
Wow.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you
Philadelphia.
for all of your service.
Thank you for your service. Yeah, no, for sure.
And I did have another question. I just wanted to know, with all of the work, because we did say that now you're, it's day one, first 100 days, and all of the things that you're planning to do. Are there any concerns with some of the executive orders that are being passed? Are there any concerns with those, getting in the way of any of the plans that you have to do, that you're, that you want to do for the community or working with people? Now we have, the issues with immigration, and we have ICE and all these things.
Sure.
Are there any concerns?
Yeah.
I think that if I was looking for clicks and donations from afar, I could talk about all these national issues, but that's not what I'm trying to do. This election is me versus the current district attorney. And in reference to immigration, I'm going to treat people who might have immigration issues the same as people who reside and who are citizens who live in Philadelphia. If you're going to break the law, we have to sit down and follow the evidence. And if you have bad papers and the law says that violent crime gets you deported, then that's what has to happen. But I'm not going to seek out, you don't need to be seeking out somebody because they look like something. They think you have bad papers and all that. But I will not do something that I know happened because I saw it while I was on the bench. Here's a guy who goes in to rob a bank, right? Puts on a note, I want to rob the bank. Give me all the money or I'm going to kill you. Hands it to the teller. Now he gets arrested. Now that person is not here with legal documents. I'm not going to be the DA who downgrades that charge down to a possession of an instrument of crime for the pen. It's still a bank robbery. You still scared the heck out of that woman who was the teller. It needs to be charged as a bank robbery. There was also a case that I know about where a man had 68 or 78 bundles of heroin and he was dealing it on the street. Again, he had illegal papers. The current district attorney downgraded it to possession of marijuana. Now, I'm sorry, but he's not the Lord and he's not changing water into wine. So how the heck are you changing bundles of heroin down to possession of marijuana? I am not going to do that because, we want to be dignified about folks who have bad papers who are here under some issues with immigration. So I'm going to handle it as, what did this person allegedly do? And then deal with it, just like I'm going to do it for the guy from West Philly or from Port Richmond. What are the facts? What's going on with you? So I think we got to be above the board, across the board for everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. When we think of, since you brought up the current DA, what separates you from the current DA? Like, what would be, your pitch or your selling point versus the current DA?
So when Larry became the district attorney, I'm going to tell you, I was excited because I was in there doing all these diversion programs. And I actually said to him, man, we could do this on steroids. We could help so many more people. I got to give a shout out to Seth Williams. Seth had all kinds of issues and all that, but he embraced diversion programs. And I thought the guy who says I'm the most progressive DA in the country is going to really embrace our diversion programs. It was the opposite. He actually has obstructed them. And our numbers have gone way down. Some of the programs have shut down. Some are probably going to be shut down. And there's only one that he really started. It's called the Emergent Adult Program. And every judge in the building has asked him for an explanation of it. And none of us have gotten it yet. It's in shambles. There's nothing going on. So most diversion programs are a partnership between the public defender's office, the private bar, the prosecutors, the courts, and it works. The community's involved. But if you're not all on the same page, they're not going to work. I mean, we had some great programs. We had one for Dawn's Court, which were for prostitutes. And it's not like Pretty Woman. The women who are out there on the streets right now selling their bodies for $5 or $10, they're being sex trafficked, they're abused, they're addicted to drugs, and they're selling themselves for $5 or $10. It's horrible. And Dawn's Court would actually have a great success when they were able to come in and be in our courtroom. We could save their lives. In 1 year, we had 18 women who were arrested for prostitution while they were in the program, gave birth to drug-free babies, which is unheard of because most of them wind up in Temple. These babies come out addicted to cocaine or heroin, and it's terrible. In fact, my wife and I fostered one of those kids a few years back, and it's an amazing journey for those babies, and it's something they shouldn't have to go through. But so we were able to help these ladies. What's happening now is they're not getting arrested, and I understand that because they're victims. The problem is there's nothing else set up to help them because the court, we could force them to get help in the beginning, and then they embrace it. And we have all kinds of testimony from them, how well it helped their lives, and we were able to help people. And those are programs that, where are these people getting help now? And they're just withering to die on Lancaster Avenue, Tarsdale Avenue, Kensington. They're winding up in body bags. And I just think there's so many more programs that we could be helping these folks who are they're victims of the whole damn system, but we could help them a lot.
Yeah. I know the current DA has a few programs that assist our returning citizens and those who are pushing against, gun violence. And so there are some programs out there, right? So do you believe that they have merit? Yeah.
So as I was saying before, I go into SCI Phoenix and I talk to convicted murderers. So yes, those who get out of jail, who walk that tough life, who are violent human beings at some point in their life, if they come out and they want to be mentors to help turn people's lives around, they've shown us that through what they did, whether it was in prison or when they get out, that all they want to do is keep those young people from going to jail. Oh my God, we have to embrace them because having a guy who's a professor who's going to say, oh no, you shouldn't do that. That doesn't work. The guy who hung on the same corner 30 years ago or 20 years ago, who went to the same high school, who walked in the same neighborhood, who can now tell me Don't do the same stuff that I did because it's going to ruin your life. You know, I got 3 kids that I didn't see. They're now 40 years old. Now I see them. I didn't see them through their teens. I wasn't around to be their father. Those kind of folks helping embrace our communities to help us turn it around. Oh my, I think that's fantastic. And that's one of the things, as a district attorney, you have access to, you know, tens of millions of dollars for all these little micro grants. And you know what? Yes, they need to be placed well. We need to help people in the community. We need to make sure what can we do with these kids when they're babies so that, you know, they're getting schooling early. What is nursery school? They show if you go to nursery school, how much that's going to help you later in life. After school programs, lunch programs, these alternatives that they have in the schools for when there's a disturbance. How can we handle it instead of taking them out in cuffs? What can we do? No, I love it. And then these kids who are highly at risk, how we can bring those folks almost like a scared straight, having that 40-year-old guy who just got out of jail coming in and saying, man, I was you. Don't be like me. Goes a long way.
Yeah, because I think even though, you know, over the past few years, the numbers have come down when it comes to the homicide rates, we still have the increase in the school age victims of being gunshot victims. You know, those are increasing as well. So that's also becoming a concern. So just having those programs for, you know, some of the students and the kids, you know, I think that would be important.
Yeah, those kids need alternatives.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The streets are such a hard pull on them. And we've had some folks over the last, you know, 8-10 years who were actually grabbing these kids at 13, 14 years old, putting a gun in their hand and asking them to go shoot somebody. You know, here's a couple $100, go shoot somebody. And, you know, I mean, men's brains aren't developed. The science says 23. I say it's much older than that. But I mean, young teenagers, their brains aren't ready to handle that yet. And they're going to do it for a couple $100. And it's a shame that, you know, they've been led down that path. And we've lost so many young people to this violence. You know, I mean, some of the criminologists say part of it is because these young men have done a pretty good job of killing each other too. So it does ebb and flow in terms of who's available to be a victim.
I have to acknowledge your work, because outside of the service you have been doing, I have heard of many who have been in your courtroom that you have done fairly, you know, and they say it, you know, so that deserves the flowers. And I believe that you would run not only a campaign, but if or when you win, that you would do what's necessary to continue to protect and serve the community. So at this point, I believe, you know, it's about which side do you like the best, right? And I think that it's one of those things. If you know the information, if you become informed, then you can make informed decisions, right? Oftentimes most people don't get the information that's necessary to make those informed decisions, right? That said, if there was information you believe that people should know about you that they don't know, right? What would you tell them, or what information would you give to say this is truly who I am?
You know, ask people that have been around me. And again, as you said, people who've come into my courtroom. One of the best things that I felt after I resigned from the bench, the calls that I got from people saying, I hope you win. And these are people who've been in front of me, whether they were attorneys, clerks in my room, and that said, I just appreciated how you were as a judge, and I hope you can win being a DA, because I know that's how you're going to be again if you can win this. Just that reputation, people know it. And I even had people who told me this. I see people out on the campaign trail who, again, I found their son guilty or they were guilty. And they come up to me and say, but I really appreciated how you ran the courtroom. You always treated everybody fairly. And you listened to them. And, whether, what you looked like didn't matter to me. It was about what was the evidence there. So, again, I am Pat Dugan from Philadelphia. And I'm real. I really am. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I'm not out there getting coached what to say. I'm not looking at polls. I'm just being as real as I possibly can. This is me. And, my joy are my grandkids. And it would be so much easier for me to just go off into retirement, hang out with my grandkids. I had the greatest job in the world, as other than being like a bullpen coach for the Phillies or, the long snapper for the Eagles. I was a municipal court judge in the city of Philadelphia. I love what I was doing. And all I had to do was coast into retirement, chilling out, all that good stuff. And I'm taking this mission on because I believe in getting up and helping people. And that's why I decided to do this, because that's who I am as a man. And that's sincere. It's just who I am. And I truly want to help Philadelphia for all Philadelphians. So, again, I'm not getting consultants telling me, say this, say that. No, I'm real.
Fantastic. If and when you win, you have to promise that you come back to the show and talk about that. Talk about the journey. Talk about, how you're feeling now. Do you, right? Before you answer that, or acknowledge that you'll come back. I'm sure you'll come back. But but I would like to know what your life would be like if you find out that you have one, that day one. What would that be like? And would you sit on, like, you're sitting here saying all the things that you have done, would you change your mind, or would you pivot? Will you, now that you are to a degree affiliated with a different party, do you now take some of their ideals or some of their interests in you with what you're doing and ruling?
So yes, I will be back.
There you go. Let me get let's pause right there. Give a round of applause. No doubt.
Absolutely. And what I can tell you is that if I had won in May, the Democrats would have no say in how I run my office. And if I win as the Republican nominee, the Republicans will have no say in how I run my office.
Round of applause. Absolutely.
It's going to be, I'm going to bring in good people, surround myself with good people. I never say that I never think I'm the smartest person in the room. It's going to be, I'm bringing in good people to be around me. I don't want yes people coming to work for me. I need people to come in, give me their best thoughts, their best ideas. I'm going to make the decisions. Yeah. But no, I'm going to surround myself with good people. But again, no political party is going to tell me what to do. And in any office, it kind of should be like that. But darn it, in the district attorney's office, there's no room for politics in there, in my opinion.
Yeah,
there really
I
isn't.
agree with that, yeah.
There really isn't.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, my final thought was just like, do you have any concerns about, like, once you win, your mental health? Like, how do you take care of your mental health?
Yeah.
Because we had Mayor Sherrill when she was just what was it, Democratic candidate.
Oh yeah, just a
elect.
Democratic.
Yeah, she was just the elect at that point, and we asked her, like, how will you, take care of your mental health? What are you going to do? And she sounded like she, How about you? How do you plan to take care of your mental health?
So, as a judge for 17 years, and again, somebody who's been in combat zones and all, it's something you got to learn how to get rid of the stress. I will never stop going to see my grandkids play a game. I probably won't be able to go as often as I do, but you got to continue that family is first. I'm never going to lose that. Yeah. I think that keeps yourself grounded and well balanced. My wife has been a fantastic supporter of mine. But I will definitely be talking to people.
Right.
I know. So as a judge, I had to have police protection at times. I had death threats. Even in a campaign in the springtime, I had some pretty bad threats against me as well. It's part of being in the public world today in this crazy day and age. So it's something that you just have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you that I'm not afraid to sit down and talk to a professional. There have been times in my career that I did sit down because of some of the things that were coming at me.
Yeah.
And, you know, you should talk to somebody who that's their job. So I have talked to a therapist or two, just trying to deal with things that are going on. So I do know I'm man enough to admit that, yeah, sometimes it's good to sit down and talk to somebody about it. So I just plan on surrounding myself with good people, getting good advice and just, you know, moving forward. Yeah, my life's going to change after I win this, but that's what I'm trying to do for the city. I'm going to surround myself with some really good people from the city of Philadelphia. We're going to take this on. We're going to do it together.
Yeah.
And I'll come back here for therapy to talk to you guys.
Give a round of applause for that. Look, so I got one more question to ask you. I'm going to throw you a little curveball because, you know, this is one of those questions that everybody has a challenge with. If I was to ask you the one thing that no one else knows about you, about the Honorable Patrick Dugan, what would that be? Gotta dig deep.
So as a paratrooper, jumping out of airplanes from thousands of feet, I'm afraid of heights.
What? Hold on, where's my script? What?
I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of heights.
That makes no sense.
You are a brave man.
So I got to tell you, when you're up in an airplane and you're 1,500 feet up, there's no perception of the height. So it's easy to walk out of that airplane into the air. But when you're up on the ladder, 24 feet up, oh my goodness, I'm not very good at that.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
And I guess I can elaborate a little bit more. If we got to go up on the ladder, my beautiful wife, generally speaking, will do it. So I'm also man enough. I'm man enough to admit that, you know, I just don't do well on ladders.
Fantastic. Is there anything that stands out, a memory during your tenure, that stands out that you are truly proud of? I mean, literally you had so many moments, but is it something that stands out that you were really proud of in terms of any of your either rulings or success of your programs?
So there's a gentleman from West Philly that was
shout out to West Philly. Yeah, we from West Philly. So. All of us actually.
He went to Overbrook.
Shout out to Overbrook. I'm from Overbrook. That's my alma mater. Go ahead. You want another one? Say something else.
I really didn't do my homework. I'm not doing. So anyway, my buddy, and I'll just say his first name, Donald. We had a really hard time when he was in my courtroom, back and forth with his addiction and, you know, crimes he was committing. And we didn't give up on him. And he finally got it. And he's over 8 years sober now. His first year sobriety happened to be close to my wedding anniversary. I'm taking my wife out to dinner. I get a call. He says, "Can you come to my meeting?" Because that's what you do on your first year anniversary. You bring people that were part of it. So my wife and I went out to 54th, and I forget what the cross street was, to see him on. Now, my wife didn't know where she was going on the way to dinner. So we stopped into the meeting to see Donald and for him to talk about, you know, his year struggle. And we're good friends now. He became a mentor in my courtroom for other veterans. And even since I retired from the bench, I still see him. And he recently called me up to tell me it's 8 years now. So he's just somebody that, and he's now back with he's now talking with his daughter. His daughter's back in his life. I was with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's talking about his grandbaby that he's seeing. So it's just, you can make a difference in a person's life, and it just ripples forever. So that is one example that he's near and dear to my heart. And, you know, I hope to keep I'm proud of being able to do that for that man.
Wow. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Patrick Dugan. I'm going to give you the floor to say, because I did it for the current DA, but I'm gonna allow you the opportunity to talk to our audience to let them know why they should vote for you in this upcoming election. You had the last word.
So I have a body of work. I've been doing this for a while. I really can walk and chew gum at the same time. The diversion programs, eviction diversion, me going into the prisons, me sitting in murder room and holding people accountable. There are some bad people out there. We need to protect our neighborhoods. We need to make it safer for our kids in the rec centers to be able to go play there and not get shot by somebody just gone randomly shooting down the street. People need second chances. I have no problem doing that. I've done it. It's my body of work. So walk and chew gum at the same time. People are going to be doing violent crimes. They need to pay for it. People who need a second chance, we can do it. We can do it together. I want your input, but I also want your vote on November 4th. I need you to make sure you get everybody to come out. I have a website, judgeduganforda.com, social media, Dugan for DA. I'm on TikTok and all those Instagrams, MySpace, you name it. I'm on them all.
MySpace.
Yeah. So just, do your civic duty, folks. Get out and vote. And you should always get out and vote. And again, I'm Pat Dugan. I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm real.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPM on P Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lawrence
and the beautiful
Lady Esther.
and the gentleman.
Pat Dugan.
This is We Talk Weekly, and just one thing that I say to our guests is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show, so you're always welcome to come back. But we will continue to lend a platform for people to give information to the community, and that's one of the most important positions that We Talk Weekly sits on. There's always this discussion of we don't know. Right. We hear people saying, I shouldn't vote, or why should I vote? This gives you the opportunity to make those decisions. You can't make a decision without the information. Right. So once you had information, now you're informed. Now you can make an informed decision whether whomever you believe. Do your research, but what we're doing right now is at the very least giving you the cliff notes, right? And so I'm your boy Charles Gregory. Continue to follow, continue to subscribe, continue to share. And if you're feeling, you want to dig in that little pocket, make sure you donate to We Talk Weekly. Cash App, We Talk Weekly. We're everywhere. Make all the people who's listening on all of the platforms across the country, across the world, actually. We really appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And we're out here like last year, y'all. Peace.